Months after my first Smash hypothetical, I'm back with another one. However, unlike the Final Fantasy VII one, I don't think this one will be invalidated by a new character after a couple months. Thought I'd have a bit of fun creating spirit battles for characters from games I've done videos on in my main show. Mainly because none of the games included in this video have enough for me to want to make a full video on them, but also I'm using Smash as a bit of shameless promotion for my main videos. I have 16 spirit battles here, and each one I'll explain my thought process while trying to get them as close as they can be to real ones that you could see in the game itself. No licensed games I've played are included, but I'm not against the idea of doing a hypothetical in the future where I try to fit a non-gaming franchise in as best I can. Also, I will only work in the confines of the game itself. That means I can't add anything to the game to enhance the spirit battles. I mainly bring this up because choosing the music for some of these was surprisingly hard. For the most part, I'll be going in the order I released episodes for the games in my main show, but I'm going to start with a game that already had two spirits in Smash already, Pandora's Tower. First we have Mavda and the Old Man. They're played by the Ice Climbers in their 7th colour, with Nana in the lead, and a giant Popo as the Old Man on her back. They fight on the Great Plateau Tower, because this is Pandora's Tower, with Pokemon Center playing, as their house is a place of rest and healing in the game. I don't know if this is possible to do with the AI, but if it is, Popo will never attack as the Old Man himself is almost immobile. They're a novice support spirit that grants the weight up skill. Next we have the game's villain, Zeron. She's played by a giant gold Bayonetta on Great Plateau Tower once again. Not only is Bayonetta's body shape and fighting style the closest match for Zeron, but her flirty personality also matches Zeron and her attempts at seducing Aaron in the game. Due to being an RPG boss, I made this a stamina battle with 250 HP. The valedictoriology plays for this fight, the same that plays for Aaron's spirit battle. She's a legend attack type primary spirit that grants transformation duration up. Now onto the new franchises, starting with Simia from Crystalis. He's played by the default Link due to their similar appearances and beginning on the NES with games of a similar genre. They both have the ability to perform sword beams, which is why Link prefers to use his forward smash in this fight. Zelda is also here but avoids fighting to stand in for Messia, who fulfills a similar role to Zelda in Crystalis. The fight takes place in Gawa Plain with its theme as a music track to stand in for general open RPG areas to explore. Simia is an ace attack type primary spirit that grants poison immunity as a reference to the gas mask item he finds early in the game. Next is the 4 playable characters of the first Darkseal game in one spirit: Freya Edurne, Carl Greystone, Raiga Hawk and Kirikaze. Freya is played by a pink female Robin as the only true female spellcaster. Carl is Red Simon due to the similarity of his whip to Carl's Morningstar. Raiga is a green Marth who likes to use his neutral special due to Raiga's main method of attacking being to poke with good range. Kirikaze is a grey Sheik because they are both ninjas. Sheik prefers to use her neutral special to reference Kirikaze's kunai. The two Wizard Fire newcomers don't have full body artwork, so I couldn't do one for them. The fight takes place in Castle Siege, locked to the throne room as both games have levels inside castles. Power Hungry Fool is the music playing because it sounds closest to the style of a Darkseal song to me. They're an advanced support spirit that grants the team power-up ability as a reference to the game's co-op options. The 5th spirit here is Hayato Kongo from BCV, Battle Construction Vehicles. He's played by a Roy in blue, blue being the Kongo crew's uniform colour. I chose Roy not just for the red hair, but Smash portrays Roy with a hot-blooded personality and voice, which hits Hayato's personality. He also starts with the home run bat due to Hayato not only holding one on the character select screen, but his super attack when driving a crane has the crane transform into a giant baseball bat. Roy will also gain random final smashes due to the random nature of BCV's own supers. Since he runs a construction company, I decided Wrecking Crew was the best stage for him and chose Marionation Gear as the music. He's a novice shield type primary spirit granting sudden final smashes. Then we have Spanky from State of Emergency, played by a Red Overalls Wario mainly because he's the only human in the game who matches Spanky's weight. During the fight, many home run bats, killing edges, ray guns and steel divers will spawn, referencing items that can be found in State of Emergency. State of Emergency is about taking down an oppressive government run by the police, and the only government building in the game is New Donk City Hall, which is why I chose this stage. The default music is Excite Truck, but if you bought Sephiroth, the music would change to Opening Bombing Mission as most of the game involves blowing up buildings. Clint and Annie from Wild Guns are next. Clint is a green Radiant Dawn Ike thanks to the physique and green cape, and Annie is default Peach. Both start wielding super scopes due to the rapid fire shooting gallery nature of their game. The game takes place in the Old West, and so I thought Gerudo Valley matched it the most visually. Hidden Village is the obvious choice for music due to its western style. They're an advanced grab type primary spirit that allows you to start the match with a super scope of your own. From one shooter to another, it's the Smash TV contestant from Smash TV. Despite only having artwork for the first player, you fight a blue and red snake to represent the game's co-op. Being a shooter, both snakes also start with super scopes. They also like to use their neutral special to throw grenades, as a grenade launcher was one of the weapon power-ups. Motion sensor bombs are common due to landmines being a common hazard in their game. In Universe, Smash TV is a TV game show, so I chose Pokemon Stadium due to the audience and giant screen in the background. For that same reason, I thought Lights Camera Action Studiopolis Zone Act 1 would fit best to the base game's tracks. But if you bought Terry, it would instead be World War III, a theme originating in another top-down arcade shooter, Ikari Warriors. He's a novice support spirit that grants shooting attack up. Away from the shooters and into a side-scrolling beat-em-up with Arthur, Lancelot and Percival from Knights of the Round. Here Arthur is a Red Link. They may not play alike, but no other character fits the role of a man who pulls a legendary sword out from a stone. Lancelot is Chrom, mainly because I just thought he fit the best. Percival is a Blue Simon who defaults to always using his neutral special to throw axes, which is Percival's weapon in the game. The fight takes place on Castle Siege, of which there are 2 in Knights of the Round, including as the last level. I also chose Hidden Mountain and Forest for the music, as there is also a chunk of the game spent in a forest. They're an advanced attack type primary spirit that can be enhanced at level 99 into their leveled up forms, now a legend spirit, fitting to King Arthur. They grant super slow armour. Next we have an egg collector from Funky Barn, played by a yellow Rob due to them both being robots. The Rob has the item gravitation skill on to allude to the collector's main function being to inhale eggs your chickens lay, and since you need chickens to lay the eggs, many cuckoos spawn during this fight. The stage is Brawl's Yoshi's Island due to the changing seasons, a main mechanic in Funky Barn. Flower Field also just fits to me for the music. This spirit is a novice support, granting item gravitation. Plip from Squidlet is the easiest one. He's a purple Inkling, and since the only method of defense is your double jump in that game, the Inkling prefers to spam her up special. Squidlet is inspired by original Game Boy games, so the only stage that makes sense is Dreamland GB with the Kirby Retro medley playing. Plip is a novice support spirit that grants an additional mid-air jump. Our 12th spirit battle is Dr. Ferdinand Social from Master of Darkness. Since that game takes a lot of inspiration from Castlevania, I made the character representing Dr. Social, Richter, in black wielding a killing edge, as a sword is one of the main weapons in that game. Ray guns and hammers also spawn to reference other weapons. Since the game's plot even involves travelling to Transylvania to stop Dracula, I made the stage Dracula's Castle and had Starker/Wicked Child play. Ferdinand is an advanced shield type primary spirit that grants weapon attack up. Next is Ice and Nene Mole from Eco Fighters. Ice is a green fox due to them both being pilots with similar uniforms, and Nene is a greenish yellow Zero Suit Samus who is the only female pilot in the game. Both of them use their neutral specials a lot and have sudden final smashes so they can call in their ships, fitting for shmup characters. Eco Fighters ends with you leaving the planet and taking the battle into space, so I chose Lilac Cruise as the stage and made Brawl's Corneria remix the music. They're an A support spirit that grants poison immunity due to their goal of dealing with pollution. Then we have the Prince of Excalabria from Sword of Vermilion. He's played by a dark blue Link thanks to the sword and shield and being from a top-down action RPG. Also in the fight are 3 brown wolves on their own side, acting as the demon hordes hunting the prince down, as wolves are one of the enemies. Killer eyes are also plentiful as they share their name with a variant of the eyeball enemy. However, if you bought the hero, he will replace Link in his default luminary costume. This is because they both have similar backstories as baby princes from destroyed kingdoms who've been hidden away in a remote village. Plus he also wields a sword and shield, plus magic just like the prince. The stage is Castle Siege's underground section to represent most of the game being spent inside caves. The music is Smash the 3DS and Wii U's remix of Dark World from A Link to the Past, a name which suits the general state of the world of Sword of Vermilion. The Prince is an advanced attack type primary spirit granting fog immunity. This is due to a big part of the game being spent collecting maps to clear your view of the right side of the screen in most areas. Spirit 15 is Jake from Dog's Life. Of course the only choice of character here is Duck Hunt Duo in the third colour which fits Jake's pattern closest. Also in this fight is an invisible Wario constantly using the Wario Waft, as farting is a big part of Dog's Life's humour, even being how the villain is defeated. Smashville is a stage as Jake lives on a farm near a small village and the music is bath time from Nintendogs because dogs. Continuing with the farting theme, Jake is an advanced support spirit granting strong wind resist. Finally, from Kamiko we have Yamato, Uzume and Hinome. As Yamato we have Lucina, long blue hair with a sword. There are no female archers in the game, so I have Toon Link as Uzume. Then a Red Rosalina holding a killing edge as Hinome. For this choice, the Luma represents Hinome's shield, which she throws out first and then swings her sword before the shield returns. They're fought on North Air to represent the third level in Kamiko, the Scorching Labyrinth. However, if you bought Terry, it will instead be on King of Fighters Stadium with Kyo and Iori in the background. This one is a bit of a stretch, but the Shrine Maidens in Kamiko have their weapons, the Imperial Regalia, named after the Kusanagi, Yatta and Yasokani clans, just like the 3 sacred treasures in King of Fighters, hence Kyo and Iori's appearance. Chizuru isn't in the game, so no whole trio, but I still think it works. The music is the original NES Legend of Zelda Overworld theme, being a game inspired by the original Zelda. They're an Ace Shield type primary spirit granting hyper smash attacks. And yeah, that's about it. Feel free to point out if I missed an obvious decision when writing these. If people are interested, I'm willing to do more of these in the future. Not decided how I'll go about it, maybe I'll go by franchise already in the game and try to add missing spirits or something, we'll see. At the time I'm writing this, we're 5 days away from E3. Even if we only get one of the remaining 2 DLC characters, it won't be too long before the game is complete and we all know the content, so the game won't be making any future videos I make irrelevant like the first one.